Since Louis Vuitton is the most recognized luxury brand in the world, it also means it's the most counterfeited. Don't get caught out with a counterfeit bag. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 simple ways that you can identify a real versus a fake Louis Vuitton bag. Hey everyone, my name is Steph. Welcome back to all my beautiful subscribers. If you are new to this channel and love designer bags and luxury in general, welcome to the family. Make sure you join us by hitting the subscribe button and the bell down below. Now, I love Louis Vuitton bags. I've purchased some brand new from boutique, but I've also purchased a lot of my collection pre-loved, mostly to get my hands on items that have sold out, that were limited edition and that you can no longer get. However, I managed to get stung by buying a bag on eBay, which turned out to be a fake. So this is my Louis Vuitton Neverfull Steven Sprouse collaboration. This one is the one with the graffiti roses on. This is my favourite print of all time. It came out, I believe, in 2011, so they're very hard to get now. I spent about 2 years trying to track this bag down, and I managed to get this one, which I had authenticated, and it is this one that I have here is authentic. But a few months later, another one came up on eBay, and it was at an okay price. To be honest, it was at the same price that I paid for this one. And I decided, why not get another one? Maybe I can restore it, add some value to it, and then sell it on to another bag lover. However, when that bag arrived, I noticed that there was it was just very wrong. It did not feel real. It didn't look quite like the authentic version that I already had. And it in fact turned out to be a fake. Luckily, I had this bag at the same time, so I was able to film a real versus fake comparison for you, which is how we're going to go through the 7 ways to identify a real and fake Louis Vuitton bag. Let's get straight on with the video, and I'll reveal what happened at the end with the eBay story with the fake. And a top tip, if you buy anything pre-loved, this is the rule that I live by when I shop pre-loved, always get your bag authenticated by a good service. I'll pop a link up here and down below for you. I have listed out with prices some of the best authentication services. You take pictures of the bag that you've purchased. You could even get the seller before you buy them to send pictures off and get a certificate for you so you can be sure. You send the pictures off, a very small amount of money changes hands at this point, and it could save you hundreds, if not thousands, when it comes to buying something pre-loved. The first thing to look for is the size and structure of the bag. Now, here, can you tell which one is the real and which one is the fake? The real is on the left, of course. You can tell just by the size and the structure of this bag. So the structure, it holds itself better, it holds itself up. The fake keeps falling over, and this is due to the fact that the canvas that Louis Vuitton uses, and also with their leather bags, are much better quality. And the fake here, the canvas isn't as thick, and it can't hold itself up under its own weight. It also has a strange kind of glossiness to it as well. The fake also isn't as tall as the real one, so I would always say, whichever Louis Vuitton bag you are comparing, check the dimensions out on the Louis Vuitton site and make sure you measure the bag to see whether it is actually the correct size. The authentic version will stand up by itself. The fake one here simply keeps falling over. Now you can see from the bottom of the bags, the real one, the canvas rolls out, it's a lot thicker. The one on the fake, it's not. It doesn't roll out. It doesn't have that same kind of structure. And again, this is why it keeps falling over. The second way is to look at the hardware. This is one of the biggest ways to tell whether the bag is real or fake. So this is the real version, and the Louis Vuitton here, the rivet is stamped clearly with Louis Vuitton. It's dead center to the leather, whereas on the one on the right, the fake, the rivet's actually too low down. It wasn't perfectly centered, and the way that it was engraved didn't look as clear as the authentic one. So here you can see it's like almost like way too much to the bottom. Now inside the bag, there's some more hardware here. You can see that the LV is stamped very clearly on the authentic. This is the fake. It's not stamped as clearly. And let me just show you these side by side, because there's some quite clear differences on the hardware. You can see that the actual metal clip is a totally different shape, and the one on the left is clearer, it's more dainty. The one on the right seems like it's etched in. Tip number 3 is the leather shape and cut, and specifically on the Neverfull, the handles are a clear giveaway, and they often are on other bags as well. So the handle is almost like a leaf/teardrop shape. You can see the real on the left, the fake on the right, and the shape is just completely wrong. On the real, it curves in a lot more as it goes into the handle, more of a teardrop-like shape. And then the one on the right, to the untrained eye, you probably wouldn't notice a difference, but you can tell when you see them both next to each other that they are in fact different shapes. Fourth way to tell is by looking at the stitching, and this is the detail that we need to go into because there are some really good fakes out there. So you can see on the real one on the left, the actual thread is thicker than the one on the fake, and also it features some double stitches in places. This is to reinforce the stitch, and the fake doesn't have these in the correct places. So I'll just show you closer up here with some of the stitching. Again, the one on the fake as well is the wrong colour. Now let's take a quick look at the stitching. On the side of the bag, you can see here that it's got yellow stitches. This is the authentic one that goes round the edges of the leather. Again, this reinforces it and helps to keep everything together. But not all machines can do this. You can see that on the replica, the stitches do not go round the edges of the leather. So you do need to get to know the bag that you are trying to authenticate and really understand the stitches. Again, this is why I use an authentication service. So let's just show these next to each other. You can see a clear difference here. There's only 2 stitches on the fake. There are 3 stitches on the real, and they go round the leather as well. And then if we look at this part here, again, the stitching does not go over the top and bottom like it does on the real one, which is on the left. So the craftsmanship just isn't quite there. They don't have access to as many machines or people actually hand stitching and finishing the bags off like the real bags will do. The 5th tip is looking at the monogram alignment. So this is if you have a monogram canvas bag, but also on leather bags that have been imprinted with the monogram logo. So this is the flowers and the LVs here. You can see it on the authentic bag. They aren't perfectly matched up, but they will align with each other, and they will never ever cut into an LV logo. That's worth bearing in mind. Now this fake is a good one. They have actually aligned the canvas. On a lot of fakes, they don't align them. You can see it's not perfectly aligned, but again, sometimes even on authentics, they aren't perfectly aligned. Tip number 6 is to rigorously check the lining of the bag. Now it's easier because we've got the comparison here, but you can see on this real one, the lining is vibrant. It's a bright pink. You can see the definition with the darker there with where the Louis Vuitton is written. The fleur here is perfectly center aligned. The zipper color exactly matches the lining of the bag, which I'll just show you closer up here so you can see how vivid it is. This is good quality lining. It shouldn't bobble, which you will see has happened actually on the fake. So let's take a look inside here. Now the lining just isn't as bright. It's just a slightly different colour. And also the tones between the darker and the lighter just aren't quite there. I'll show you them next to each other in a second so you can really see this in detail. But you can see the fleurs on in the right place. There's no one here on the center like there actually should be on the Neverfull. The zipper is also a different color from the lining. You can see it's a light pink, and this is because the counterfeiters haven't been able to get the exact same, so they found one that nearly matches. And you can see that the fabric has started to bobble here. So that's definitely a sign that this isn't quite the quality that Louis Vuitton would normally go for. And again, we've seen the hardware. So now you can see them side by side. And again, it's hard when you can't see these side by side, but the pattern is not quite right, although very, very similar. The color isn't right. The contrast between the light and the dark, even some of the fonts aren't correct. If you look at the Champs-Élysées Paris, that isn't correct on the fake version. But the biggest giveaway is the zipper color, because it matches the lining perfectly on the authentic and it does not match on the fake. In fact, it's quite a lot lighter. So again, this is the counterfeiters kind of cutting corners and a way that you can tell. And here they are next to each other. You can just see that the colors, even the stitching, aren't right versus the authentic version. And the final thing to look for is the date code or microchip. So prior to 2021, all Louis Vuitton bags mostly should have a date code. So this is the date code in the Neverfull. They're often hidden in pockets. This one is under the pocket of the Neverfull. You can see, so it basically has 2 letters and 4 numbers. This isn't always the case. It depends how old the bag is. I'll link down below to a Louis Vuitton date code checker so that you can decipher what this means. But it basically tells you by the letters where it was made, and then the numbers tell you the date. Now, the date code on this fake is in the correct place, but you can see that the alignment is completely off. It's definitely off to one side. At the top, it's veering towards the end of the leather. Again, this is just a tale of bad craftsmanship, again, from the counterfeiters. Now, if you have a bag made after 2021, your bag may feature a chip inside rather than a date code, which you cannot see. You have to basically have a scanner to be able to read that. So those are the 7 ways to tell if your Louis Vuitton bag is real or not. As mentioned though, if you have purchased a pre-loved Louis Vuitton or another designer bag, even though I've just taken you through those 7 comparisons between a real and a fake and how to identify one, if you have spent your hard-earned money on a bag, please get your bag authenticated. I do it, I don't care. I've handled Louis Vuitton bags for a long time now. I can tell generally when something's real or fake, but I always get a second opinion by getting an authentication service to check the bag. So what happened with the fake Louis Vuitton bag that I managed to buy on eBay? This is why I buy through eBay, because when you buy something, you get buyer protection, and if the item isn't as described or isn't authentic, they will guarantee your money back. So a lot of people are wary of eBay, but I only buy pre-loved basically through eBay or from someone that I really trust, because their buyer protection is so good. So this seller, actually quite a surprising one, they had thousands of feedback. They are actually a pawnbroker business based in London, the capital here in the UK. They were selling lots of luxury goods on their eBay, and I believe still do to this day. I messaged them as soon as the bag showed up. Obviously there was something really wrong with it. I could tell it was a fake. I sent them pictures of my real versus the fake one. They proceeded to argue with me, tell me that the bag was real, and I was like, clearly the bag is not real. So yeah, it was slightly stressful having to go back and forth with that person who was not being cooperative at all. But yeah, because I just then took it all through eBay and got my money back. The one thing that I will say, which was slightly disappointing on eBay's front, is that I actually left that seller negative feedback. They then removed my feedback. So this seller, being a business seller, will have an eBay account manager, and they've obviously spoken to them and said the bag is real, blah 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 blah, and they removed my feedback, which I think is a huge shame, because it would have helped to alert other buyers that maybe this seller isn't as rigorous as they should be when it comes to authenticating their items. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments down below which of the 7 tips you found the most useful. Now, make sure you don't go anywhere, because coming up next, I will link my latest video release here for you, and I'll be taking you through my entire Louis Vuitton designer bag and purse collection. Enjoy.